Thank you for tuning in to the Student Organization Summit. Make sure to follow us on social media and check out the many other videos on this channel about working with and advising student organizations. And now, please enjoy your workshop.
Hi, welcome to talking about news post communication, a best practice example for Anthologies Engage. My name is Caitlyn from the University of Kentucky. I work in the Office of Student Organizations and Activities. My role specifically works with our Engage platforms and the Anthology suite of Baseline and Insight, as well as supporting student organizations and involvement initiations campus-wide. And I will let my colleague, Ben, introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Ben Starr. I'm the coordinator for student organizations. So I help Caitlyn out a lot with our anthology suite. My role specifically focuses on student org registration and making sure that we're providing student orgs with a bunch of resources to make their experience on the Engage platform as good as possible. So quickly, just to introduce the University of Kentucky for any of you who may be unfamiliar. The University of Kentucky, or UK, as I'm sure Caitlyn and I will refer to throughout this presentation, is located right in the heart of Kentucky in Lexington. We've got over 30,000 students enrolled, and that includes over 6,000 students who are living on campus. So those on-campus students primarily are lower classmen, mostly first years with some second year students as well, incorporated in that mix. We've got a pretty good mix of in-state and out-of-state students, with about a third of our students coming from out of state, housing themselves somewhere within one of our 16 colleges. So got a pretty diverse set of populations here, and we want to make sure that we can get as many of them involved as possible.
So working with BB Involved, which is what we call our Engage platform at UK, this has been a really important tool as we have transitioned online. So as we continue to talk about that in this presentation, I wanted to share some more historical information about our platform at UK. So we transitioned from OrgSync to the Engage platform in 2018. Previous to our transition, we primarily used OrgSync, working only with student organizations. Primarily, we used the registration tool. We'd see some organization posting events, and we'd get excited if they were using event attendance on the platform. When we transitioned to Engage and opted to call our platform BB Involved for our Big Blue Nation spirit, we really wanted to focus on how we could develop that and developed the community around that at the university. And so we definitely focused a lot of energy and invested more time into developing tools and resources and what that would look like in order to engage our student organizations, to engage more campus partners, and continue to onboard departments and colleges to the BB Involved experience. And so to get a little baseline of what was going on our platform, we connected our BB Involved platform to Google Analytics pretty early on in our transition to see what people were looking at, see what tools we knew we wanted to engage with, as well as to elevate and provide trainings for on the platform. And so we hit the ground running and made sure to start developing tools, resources, but a lot more came along since March. So just a little bit of historical where we were and kind of where we're going with our platform. And with that, as we were working to develop the platform to work with student organizations, something that we noticed is that we had a little bit of a lack of consistency with our organization communication. So prior to the 2019-2020 academic year, Ben Starr's position, working coordinator for student organization, as well as our colleague's position that works directly, an assistant director position that works directly with marketing and communication, did not exist in our office. So we did not have as much staff support in terms of communicating, marketing, having some consistency in that area. And so we would occasionally have a newsletter. We would have some news post or some communication through BB Involved, but it wasn't quite consistent. It was mostly like, we have an involvement fair coming up, or we would like you to support this opportunity. And so since onboarding those newer positions, we have really been able to elevate some opportunities to provide some more consistency in communication. And one of those tools that we'll be focusing on with that today, you'll hear more about in a little bit.
So just like the rest of the world, March 2020 was quite an experience for us. UK made the shift to completely online right in the middle of March, as I'm sure many of your institutions did. And so when that happened, we were in our office really trying to make sure that we were finding ways for student organizations to continue their engagement with their members and keep some sense of community for the remainder of that spring semester. Since so many things were up in the air, everything was transitioning to virtual, and many people weren't super familiar with that transition and how to navigate it. Our office really tasked ourselves with trying to provide those resources and that information out to our students. So we began looking at different ways that we could kind of disseminate this information, and that leads us into our subject today, which is news posts. So a news post on the Anthology Engage platform is a sort of like a blog post, really, but with a lot of different features that make it really accessible for students and providing information in different ways. So this is a quick blurb on your screen. You can see what Anthology says about news posts, and we will show you some examples of news posts that we've got on our campus that we think make this platform and this form of communication really beneficial. So why did we select news posts as the way to communicate with our organizations once we had to transition to being virtual? So there were quite a few reasons and different things that went into this thought process. First is news posts make it really easy to share important announcements and really easy to update those announcements with the most relevant information. So on the Engage platform, creating a news post couldn't be more easier from the manage side of the platform. And then whenever we had announcements or information change, which happened what seemed like daily, we would be able to go back into those news posts and make those edits to make sure that we were providing our students with the most relevant and timely information about how to navigate their semester and exactly what the university was doing to keep everyone engaged. Another really great feature on the news post is that it allows for comments and replies to comments beneath all of the content. And we felt that this would be a cool opportunity to create a discussion forum. I think a lot of success from navigating the transition to virtual relies on collaboration. And so we wanted to be able to have this sort of communication where people could actively collaborate with one another using the discussion tools, the comments, and the replies that the Engage platform has available right underneath the content that you have inside of your news post. So that's another kind of piece of the tool that we felt would be really well utilized during this transition into our virtual world. But the biggest thing is that we really wanted to find a hub for information, a central place that we could store everything. And as I'm sure many of your offices have, a separate university website in addition to your engagement platform. We do as well. But our office website, we knew that the traction on our office website wasn't quite the same as the traction that we get on our BB Involved. And we were able to analyze that using our Google Analytics, knowing that the BB Involved platform was getting quite a bit of engagement throughout the school year. And so we were aware that student leaders are using BB Involved to help manage their organizations, and news posts provided a way for us to house all of that information on a platform that the students were already familiar with and already checking. So between all of these things, we really realized that news posts were the best way for us to go to disseminate information, provide resources, and house all of that in one spot. So just some examples of the news posts, kind of walking you through our little story of how we got to where we went. We started right at the beginning of the transition to online with using news posts to provide COVID updates for student organizations. So this first came in the form of announcements regarding the university's decisions and how the university was approaching the transition to being virtual, and exactly how student orgs can navigate that. This resource became really helpful, and the spring semester we provided so much information about the transition to online that we thought it would be really beneficial to provide some information specific to the summer. Things were changing so quickly, and the information that students needed for the summer was very different. So we created a summer guide for student organization management. And then Anthology released updates to their Engage platform that allowed video embedding inside of the news post. So Caitlyn will be able to show this example here, as well as the involvement panel example of how we incorporated embedding videos into our news posts. But as that release came out, we realized that news posts could be a great place to house series of videos on our Engage platform. So we'll go ahead and open up our BB Involved platform and take a look at exactly what we're talking about when we're looking at all of these news posts. So the first one we'll take a look at is our virtual student organization management guide. This was the first guide that came out early in April/late March with information for student organizations to be able to continue their engagement during the spring semester. So providing them a central place to ask and answer all of their questions that they might need to know about how to continue their organization's business, how to continue to facilitate meetings using Zoom, how to facilitate an election using the Engage platform, materials for having a successful officer transition and making sure that as new officers are elected at the end of the spring, that they're being transitioned into their positions, knowing everything they need to know. And organization housekeeping, which we really expand on in our summer session, or our summer version of the guide, thinking about things that orgs can do to keep their BB Involved or Engage pages as relevant and up to date for anyone who is now scrolling through Engage trying to figure out how to get involved on campus. So this became our main hub for all of that, and we updated it pretty much every week as different staff members in our office thought about different resources that became available. Our leadership development team inside of our office really threw together a bunch of workshops focused on this transition to virtual engagement and student org management. And so we were able to take all of their recordings from their workshops and roundtables and provide links to that inside of this guide. So we thought that was a really awesome resource, which kind of leads into our summer guide. Because so much changes between the spring to the summer, we knew the summer was going to be a lot more about what student organizations needed to do in order to make sure their pages were accurate and prepared for the fall, with an unknown of what the fall was going to look like. So we developed a summer guide that was specifically targeted with that in mind, how to let student orgs prepare for the fall while they still had so many questions. So again, used it as a centralized hub for all of this information, including the university's response to COVID, exactly what student organizations needed to know about that, providing resources to respond to racial injustice, and really focusing on that organization housekeeping aspect, making sure that student orgs are aware of what they need to know to have updated and accurate public pages for all these people looking at the Engage platform in the fall. So this is our summer guide.
Yeah, so the summer guides and the resource guides have allowed us to provide a lot of changing resources throughout the semesters we have had. And as Ben mentioned, try and to highlight additional resources on the Engage platform and how students and student orgs can engage with all the tools. And so as we saw traction increase on the guides that were being posted, we're like, all right, we know that students are looking for these resources. How can we continue to elevate the different opportunities to engage with the BB involved tools to continue to make more robust descriptions, to allow for posting more events, just to see the platform continue to come to life, especially with the new virtual opportunities happening on campus. So Ben and I launched our BB Involved Bootcamp to continue to educate students and the student organizations on the many tools and resources that BB Involved provides their organization for organization management. We opted to use a news post for this program because it allowed for us throughout the program to both advertise for the upcoming videos, to share information about how to engage or how to watch the different videos as we were producing them live, but also as a place, as Ben mentioned, the video embedding, to also house the videos. We do have a YouTube account through our office, but this really provides a centralized place if students are looking for BB involved specific material. This houses all of these videos in one place where they can either do a quick search to find the specific video in here, or check out all of the different weeks that we offered during BB Involved Bootcamp. Something we were hearing from students and student leaders as we transitioned to virtual is some students did want to attend live workshops. They wanted to be able to have that direct interaction with staff or with other student leaders through the process. And other students were looking for more like, I want to watch this video on my own time. I need a break in between my classes to step away from the computer. So this is better for me to be able to watch later in the evenings or on the weekends when I'm having a break from my screen time with classes. And so we thought this is a great opportunity to house these videos in one central location. So if a student wanted to participate in the bootcamp program, they could come and review these or look ahead at the weekly schedule to see what was upcoming for bootcamp. As well as through this program, we were able to offer that students could then log their attendance after the fact if they watched the video at a later time. And so the news post was just really the best tool and resource for us to highlight this program and to provide a database of BB involved trainings for the student organizations, as well as notify students when it was updated. So weekly when we'd update the recordings, we would be able to do that. So this really served as a great opportunity for us to not only advertise the upcoming opportunities, but has really become a landing page for BB involved resources and trainings. So this has been a great resource to continue to share with student organizations and departments as we onboard. Tracking attendance has been an increased asset and resource for campus partners and student organizations. So it's great to have this news post to send students to. So like, all right, you need to both post your event and track attendance. We got you. We're going to send you to this landing page. Here's the title of the video you're going to want to focus on. And really also, hopefully we'll get them to check out some of the other resources and tools they're seeing on this bootcamp post on the news tab. We also did a similar program focusing on involvement opportunities for students on campus. This was an opportunity geared towards both incoming fall 2020 students, as well as any student that was looking to get involved over the summer, as well as we're gearing up for fall. So this was similar to bootcamp in that it was a great place to advertise and get students engaged in those live recordings of the panels if they wanted to come and ask questions of the student leaders, but also to have this as a place where students can come and on their own time, learn a little bit more about organizations, to kind of have that opportunity to slowly ease themselves into the many involvement opportunities at UK. So we used this involvement panels to highlight just a handful of our 500 organizations on campus, but we really liked using news posts for this opportunity because we could not only not only did this news post allow for us to post the videos afterwards, but also point students in the direction of other resources for getting involved on campus, like using a form on BB Involved to request an involvement advising appointment and chat with their peers. So we were able to connect that in here. So kind of a landing page for a few of the involvement resources in our office. So they're able to watch the video, see a little bit about the students and the student leaders on campus. Also a great way that we were able to highlight a lot of our student organizations that are housed on the platform. So we did this by some of our themes that student organizations can identify as in the registration process. And so this not only highlights a handful of organizations in those different categories, but also will give an idea of those different tabs and features that they can use to sort for organizations if they're exploring under the organizations tab. So this was just a perfect way for us to highlight organizations, to get students familiar with getting involved at UK, and just highlight other tools on BB Involved. And not only were these panels super fun to record, I love that we have a landing page in the news post tool to go back and revisit these opportunities and to help students that are still exploring or they're not quite sure what they want to join, to guide them to this place as a landing page for just that starting journey in their involvement, to learn a little bit more about organizations on campus. And since highlighting all the news posts and our office using news posts, we have seen that grow across campus. And so we get really excited. Ben and I will be like, oh, this organization posted the merging. We've seen a lot about our esports on here and different upcoming opportunities, whether it's we want you to come join our organization, come attend this event. I remember one organization posting how can you join our Discord and how can you join our GroupMe, just all sorts of different ways encouraging students to use the news post tool on BB Involved. So it has been a really fun journey to see the different ways that we can use that. And so, as I mentioned, we have just seen that tool continue to become more robust, as well as a lot more consistency in our communication with student organizations and student leaders as a result of the newsletter post, as well as our awesome office, like Ben and our other co-worker working with our newsletter. It just has increased our consistency in our communication with student organizations. So a few of the things that we continue to highlight on BB Involved is our student organization resource portal. So that is a portal we utilize for all student leaders. So if they are listed as a officer on their registration, Ben gets them imported into the resource portal. So this is a place where we house a lot of those resource guides. So as officers of organizations, they get to see those. If we know it's a really urgent post or we want to make sure the students are able to see that update, we can use the notification tool and the news post feature to say, like, notify all the members of this organization there's a new news post. So we know that we can get that information out to organizations quickly and notify them of the update. And so being able to house not only those kind of landing pages or those themed updates in a news post, but having them also housed inside the resource portal has been a really great resource for our office and for the student leaders to have a centralized place to go and to look at all of that information as well. And something we have noticed about our BB Involved platform, kind of tying back into those Google Analytics, is that we know students are using this tool. The views for news posts have gone up. Each time we post a new resource guide, we track those to see the progression in views, when are students most viewing those, to find the best time of day and week to post those for our student leaders. Just overall on our BB Involved platform, from our first week of remote learning to this time in the semester, we've increased our total page views on BB Involved by 200%. So we know students are looking for involvement opportunities. We know they're looking for resources. And the news post feature has been a great tool for our campus to elevate those resources, find that place where we know students are already visiting BB Involved. So let's put the resources on that platform, utilize the news post tool so that we can find that centralized place, the one-stop shop for the student organization resources and involvement. We also have our student leader that our marketing staff works with to send a bi-weekly newsletter, and that has the views and the open rates and click rates of that newsletter have continued to increase throughout the pandemic. So we know with that update is that students are looking, they want these updates from the institution, and utilizing the leader to tie like tips and tools back to the BB Involved platform, as well as using other MailChimp tools like the poll feature to ask students what kind of information they want to see, or do they want more information about attending the involvement fair or another feature on BB Involved, so we can make sure to incorporate that information into future newsletters or future news posts on BB Involved.
So for your own campus, as you're thinking about ways you can utilize and create your own news posts, we have some tips and tricks and questions that we would encourage you to think about. So the first thing is just determining exactly what it is that you're trying to share and who your audience is. So is it a resource or a set of resources that are available for students on campus? Is it a specific announcement regarding something that's going on at your institution? Or is it a series of videos? We think personally that all three of those things would be great things to put in a news post, but you know your institution best. So depending on exactly what that content is that you're looking to share out, one thing might be better for a news post than something else. So taking a look at exactly what kind of information you're trying to distribute will help you determine exactly what kind of method will be great to post that as, but obviously we would recommend news posts for you. So if you decide to create a news post to share out this content, taking some tips and tricks from all of the things that we've done so far, exploring our news posts and increasing engagement in our news posts, we've got some ideas for you. So first is to make sure that you have a creative title and description and something that's really eye-catching. Every single news post you can upload a graphic with. So you noticed on each of the examples we showed that there was a large graphic that really explained the title in hopefully what you thought was an eye-catching way. And so we would definitely encourage you to make sure that you have that eye-catching graphic. Along with that, the description that you include with your news post is visible from the homepage as well as the news feed. And so the description is just a short 2-sentence blurb, maybe even shorter, that helps to describe what exactly is inside of your news post. And so making that a little bit clickbaity could be a great way to increase some engagement and the click rates into your news post. So make sure you've got something creative in that description, if not just outright clickbait. The next thing that we recommend for news post tips are letting the student know when you have updated the news post. So like we mentioned before, it's really easy to go back into the news post and make updates to the content that's inside to make sure that we are providing the students with the most timely and relevant information. And so whenever updates are made, the news post will automatically jump up to the top of the news feed and show up as the first option on your platform's homepage. The aspect that our specific little trick here is for, though, is when that happens, it doesn't update the date and time that the news post was shared. So if we created a news post in August and then we made some edits in November and didn't really change anything in the description, it would pop back up to the top of the news post feed, but it would still say that it was posted in August. And so we noticed this and realized that students might not be willing to click into something that was posted so long ago because they might feel that the content is out of date. And so inside of the description, you can actually add right at the beginning of the description exactly when the news post was updated. And then inside of the content of the news post, you can use formatting, whether that's including a blurb at the very beginning saying this is what was updated on this day, or highlighting the information that has been added new in like a different color or using bold and italics, you can make sure that those updates are really caught by the students who are looking back for the most relevant information. So making sure that when you do make those updates, making those as visible and clear for the students as possible. Our next tip is being mindful of the visibility settings. So just like a lot of features on the Engage platform, you can tailor the visibility to be exactly what you would like it to. So as Caitlin mentioned, we have a student organization resource portal, and that's a page that all of our student officers are housed in. So if we want to share a news post that only student officers we want only student officers to see, but not potential members as they're looking to engage with new organizations for the first time. We can tailor that visibility setting so that it is only going to show to our student officers on campus who are members of that resource portal page. So when you're thinking about your audience, being aware of those visibility settings, making sure that content that is more relevant for a small group of people isn't shown to the entire platform, but information that is really important for the entire platform to know about is shown to that group. And then one thing that's kind of tied in with those visibility settings is the notifications feature that Caitlin talked about. So when you are posting a news post inside of an organization, you can check off a little box that says notify all members that a post has been made, and it will the platform will automatically send out an email to all of those members with the title of your news post and then a button that they can click on to jump in and read that news post. So that can really help to increase engagement and the reading of the content in that news post, and is a really, really great tool that we appreciate quite a bit. The last tip and trick that we've got for you is making sure that you utilize the tools inside the news post that the platform has made so accessible for us. And specifically thinking about that, we are mostly talking about how you can embed videos inside of the news post and create a hub to house all of the series of videos that you might be making for a different series of trainings or the involvement panels like you saw in our examples. So being sure that you're utilizing those tools well and embedding all the videos correctly and housing that is a really great opportunity, because we have seen from our examples that when we house a series of videos inside of a news post, rather than sharing out the YouTube link for a specific video, we can always reference the news post URL or even create a shortened URL for our news post so that it's extremely easy for student organizations to remember the link to get back to that news post. And then that also kind of helps to make the news posts evergreen, where if a video inside of that news post becomes out of date, on our end, we can go in, re-record the video, make sure that it is updated, and then student orgs still have that original link to the news post to access that new recording again, rather than having a link to a YouTube video that's no longer available. So keeping those tools in mind and like thinking intentionally about how you can incorporate videos inside of your news posts and share out that content with your student organizations is important to think about as well. So those are our tips and tricks. We just want to say thanks so much for watching our presentation about news posts. We are super happy to answer any questions that you've got about this feature. Feel free to email us at studentorgs@uky.edu. Both Caitlin and I monitored that email and would be happy to let you know and get back to you about any questions that you've got. We also have a Q&A session going on right now. So go ahead and refer to your schedule and join in our Zoom link so that we can chat more with you about the best ways to utilize news posts on your campus.
Thanks for tuning in to the Student Organization Summit. If you're watching this live, feel free to reference the schedule for the day and use the link in the schedule to access a Q&A room where you can ask questions or chat with the presenters from this workshop. If they didn't list a Q&A link, or you're watching this video after the event, thank you for your interest in the Student Organization Summit.